So guys, what's going on? I hope you're all well. A lot of you have asked me, is Terence Crawford, does Terence Crawford have to leave Top Rank in order to get the big fights? Possibly. He may have to. When I don't know. There are rumors about, his relationship with Bob Arum's not great. It's probably not gonna be because of the fact that he's not getting the fights. But, when they come across in the media day, Bob Arum and Crawford look like they're all right. We just don't know. It depends on what Terence Crawford's mindset is at. If he's getting paid well under Bob Arum, then he might not really care. But it does seem like he is a bit frustrated from, he's not getting these big fights with Spence, them, and all the other top guys. So you can understand his frustration. I can totally understand why he'd be frustrated. You can't blame Crawford, for being frustrated, not getting the fights. He wants to prove he's the best welterweight in the world, and unfortunately, the promoter that he's with can't get him those fights because he doesn't get on with the other promoter that represents the other fighters. So it is very frustrating for Terence Crawford right now, but I don't think he has to leave Top Rank to get those big fights. I think eventually those fights will happen. I don't think he'll get in the mix. Do you know what I mean? I think what will happen is, I think the last man standing of the PBC fighters, I think they're having a tournament amongst themselves at the minute, and I do feel eventually when that tournament is done amongst themselves and there is a clear winner, I believe they'll make that Crawford fight. Especially Spence. Most people think that Spence will be the last man standing. If it is Spence, they're trying to build up a fight between Crawford and Spence, and I think they're trying to do another Mayweather-Pacquiao. The only difference is I don't think this fight is ever going to be as big as Mayweather-Pacquiao. I don't think either of these guys are that big or have a huge name where they're going to be able to draw numbers like Mayweather or Pacquiao. So you're never going to get to that level. What you're hoping is that the fight can get to an extent where both parties come together and make the fight. And maybe they can have it on joint broadcaster. Maybe they can, have it joint promotion, whatever. But the fans don't really care about it. The fans just want to see the fight. So hopefully, the fight can get big. And by Spence unifying the division, that definitely makes him a bigger draw. I do think there'll be other problems when that happens. I think Spence may say, I want more than 50-50. I want 60-40 or 65. You don't know what Spence says. Spence would want a bigger split of the purse. Even though I think that'd be unfair because Crawford, let's not forget, was the undisputed champion weight below. And I think Crawford's, done a lot more in the sport. However, Spence will then start saying, I'm a pay-per-view fighter. I've had some big fights. Also, Spence's first pay-per-view did really well against Mikey Garcia. Although that wasn't solely because of him, nevertheless, he can still say that, that his pay-per-view numbers have done better than Crawford's. Crawford's pay-per-view numbers against Postal and Khan were very poor. I think that his numbers combined weren't as much as what Spence did in, his fight against Mikey Garcia. So, I think Crawford's not a name. I don't think Crawford's got a big name. Only hardcore boxing fans know who Terence Crawford is. So, I think Bob Arum normally does well with his fighters. He gets to a level where there are pay-per-view stars and names. Unfortunately, with Terence Crawford, for some reason, Terence Crawford just doesn't sell. He's just not a big draw, not a big name, and unfortunately, he's not selling, and he's not crossing over to the casuals and even the hardcores really that are not buying his fights. He's not the most exciting fighter in the world. He's not very mouthy. He just acts himself, and his promotional skills, or you would say he doesn't really know how to promote fights that well. He doesn't talk to the media that much. So for Terence Crawford, he needs to build up his name. Unfortunately, the way he is, the laid-back character he is, he's not going to be able to do that. So I think it is a bit of a frustrating time for Terence Crawford. He's not able to get these big fights, or not able to get the champions that, in with him. So I think he's just going to have to wait it out, see what presents himself. He may have to continue having these fights like Khan, Brook, guys like that, in order to wait, waiting for those big names that he wants in the welterweight division. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think Terence Crawford needs to leave Bob Arum in order to get those big fights? So do you think those big fights will eventually come? Leave your thoughts, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.